Hello and welcome back to No Time for Burnout. They say if you want something done, give it to a busy person. That is very true. And if you're here, you probably relate and resonate with that. I want to tell you very quickly about Sam's story. Sam is an ops manager. Currently, she has 4 jobs. Her own, she's covering for her supervisor. One of her employee is away and there's a vacant role in her team that hasn't been filled for months. Oh, and she's also a mum. So she has 5 jobs essentially. When she knocks off after the day, she jumps into the role of a mum. She has no time for herself, obviously. Sam never says no. She's hasn't taken a day off in ages. She has 8 weeks of annual leave accrued, but nothing slipped yet. She is still smashing it. Of course, we're coaching together. She is telling me that she knows that this is unsustainable and she is not feeling well. There's nothing really wrong about being busy, about having lots to do and doing it on our own and smashing it. But when we're starting to feel any flavor of bad, depleted at capacity, negative, feeling resentment, this is when we need to act. And that's why we're working together. Maybe that's you. Maybe you're super sharp in meetings still. You're still going to the gym. You're still flossing. You're still eating your protein. But you know that something's wrong. And you know that it's unsustainable. You're starting to see some of the signs. The reality for Sam is that she's still performing and she is also at capacity. She's not sleeping. She's on edge. So she recognizes that she's more reactive than usual. She's feeling a lot of resentment for people who are not working as hard as her and towards the workplace as well. And in her word, she has lost her spark. There's too many demands. Not enough resources. And in her case, it's not enough staff, not enough help, not enough people to delegate to because no one's doing the work well, and not enough time and energy as well. And this is what high functioning burnout looks like. It's located in the second zone of my model, in the over functioning zone, where we experience chronic stress, but we just keep going. No rest, little to no sleep, insomnia very present in that zone, and also a lot of coping strategies to keep going. Often it'll be lots of coffee during the day and then wine in the evening to wind down and try to get to sleep. This is often what the analogy refers to, the analogy of the duck. You know, they're calm on the surface, but they're paddling madly underneath. And Sam will say things to me like, people tell me all the time how calm I look, or I only had 3 hours of sleep and I've been to 3 meetings today. I'm just hanging in. They're just pushing through, soldiering on, whatever expression you want to say. That'll get you lots of praises in the workplace. We need to talk about this because it is praised. You will get promoted for being so dedicated and such a hard worker, but it is exhausting. And showing something while feeling something different, this is what psychologists call emotional labor. But this is what your body and are calling exhaustion or being at capacity or burnt out. This is even where people are really starting to wonder if they're starting to burn out. But the things we'll say is, because I'm still delivering, maybe I'm still fine. Or it'll get better. I just need to hire that person. I just need to get over that project. I just need to get to Christmas, right? We just think it's a phase, but that's a trap. If you're definitely in that over-functioning zone and you know that you're smashing it, but you're feeling awful, you could be heading towards the next zone, which is the depletion zone. And I don't want you there. So this is what this episode is about. Now, one quick reminder, for you who might likely feel like if I don't do all that work, then I'm going to feel lazy. I'm going to feel like I'm letting the team down, like I'm not a good team player, or I'm less capable. People will think that I'm not good at what I do. And we have that imposter syndrome that comes in. I want to remind you that your capability and your capacity are 2 different things. Your capability is your skills, your willingness to help, your dedication to the work. This is untouched. Your capacity is dictated by the balance between the demands and the resources. So the more you rebalance the demands and the resources, the more you regain your capacity, and then you can tap into your capability. As you or max out your capacity, you start to lose the effects of your capability. What I want to remind you is the need to slow down is a human need. Doesn't mean you're less capable. And the tough question to ask yourself is, what's going to happen when I slow down? Or what's going to happen if I stop performing, if I take that mask off and I decide that I'm acting like a human, not a superwoman? And this is where those fears will come up. The way that people will perceive you. Do I don't even deserve my role anymore? Do I not deserve that promotion anymore? I want to give you permission to stop performing, but that's probably not going to move the needle much. But if you do need permission, you have my permission absolutely to stop performing so you can avoid burnout. The goal is to not wait for a crisis to happen, right? Like with insurance or seatbelt in a car, we don't wait for an accident to start wearing the seatbelt. We do it just in case. Same thing with burnout prevention. We should always be in burnout prevention mode. And the earlier that you drop the mask, the quicker you will interrupt and reverse the effects of burnout, and the smaller the damage as well on your nervous system and your life. What I've designed alongside the 3 zone is the 3 prevention pillars, which are what to do. So I will be talking about what to do in the awareness pillar, the restoration pillar, and the lifestyle pillar if you find yourself in high functioning burnout. In the awareness pillar, I would love you to raise the awareness with someone else, someone you can take your mask off with. Maybe it's someone in the workplace, maybe it's a coach, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's your spouse. Being vulnerable with someone and telling them that you're at capacity and something has to change is being human again, but it destigmatizes the overwhelm and it helps you really take control and it makes it real. It's like, okay, now I've decided I'm doing something. I'm even telling someone. It's not about whinging or being like, oh, I'm so busy. It's about going, this is too much and now I'm ready to do something. I'm realizing that I'm heading towards burnout. Find where you're performing for others and decide if it's worth it, and look at your fears as well. What will happen if I stop performing for them? Where am I in worry mode? What's real and what's perceived? Ideally, I would invite you to seek guidance from a coach because you can get a lot of insights and accountability, and you can practice conversations with people with a coach as well, which is extremely helpful when we're in high functioning burnout and we need to start putting boundaries in place and delegating, and we can start to question the requests instead of saying yes straight away. And another intervention point in the awareness zone here would be to start looking at your unrealistic standards. I want you to deliver excellent work. Absolutely. I don't want you to drop your standards and start botching work. That's not ever what I'm going to be saying. But look at where your unrealistic standards are and the unrealistic standards of other people as well. I typically work in healthy workplaces. If you work in a toxic workplaces, which is a very broad word to say unsupportive workplace, then it might be more challenging to manage the unrealistic standards of other people, but at least bring awareness to what's my standards that get in the way and what's other people's standards that get in the way and that make me perform all of the time. The next pillar is restoration, which is where we restore our energy and our nervous system. I invite you to take genuine breaks. So no screen-tied breaks. If you say, I don't have breaks, create them. Tell people at the start of a meeting, I need to leave at 10:02 because I have another meeting, and then take that 10 minutes to go for a stretch, to take a few steps around the block, have a glass of water, do the things for yourself, leave your phone behind. I know the reality of back-to-back meetings. You can't get anything done. So don't try to get it done in that 10 minutes between the meetings. That's not the goal of the 10 minutes break between meetings. Not at all. The goal is to restore your nervous system so you can go into the new meeting with a fresh mind. How to apply everything that's happened in the meetings will be for another podcast episode. But right now we're talking about high functioning burnout. Go, go, go all the time. Find those little patches, have real breaks. And then think about small steps in terms of energy, bringing some energy back. How can I improve my sleep? And often my clients know exactly what to do. The first step, maybe it's put their phone away. Maybe it's turn the TV off earlier. Sometimes it's just putting the blinds down because the moon wakes them up. Sometimes it's using their nasal strip or their CPAP machine. You know it. You know what works for you, what's needed. Food-wise, what can give me more energy? What could be better food for me? Movement as well. Lots of people put a lot of pressure on them to exercise. Obviously, I say exercise, though if you're not there yet, start with movement. Go for a little walk, have a stretch, just move your body. And turning your notifications off as well. As many apps as you can, turn the notifications off. Look at your apps on demand instead of them prompting you to look. And also in the restoration pillar, we're talking about self-regulation, which means finding ways to regulate your nervous system, taking big breaths, going outside more often, all those small steps that can regulate your nervous system as well. Relaxing your shoulders throughout the day and your jaw signals to your brain that you're safe. And the third pillar is lifestyle. So what I invite you to explore is healthier coping strategies. If you have any addiction or habits around stimulant like coffee or even no dose, maybe, I don't know if that's still a thing, the caffeine pills that wake you up. If you have any habits of taking Red Bull or any sort of energy drinks or having a bag of lollies in your third drawer. I've worked in the corporate sector for 25 years. I've seen a lot of bags of lollies. I've owned them myself, and also the alcohol in the evening as well. Start to cut down on those things and replace them. I am about to record another episode with 5 swaps, and this is one of the swaps that I'll be discussing and giving some tips for. What's really important to remember is please bring some compassion to yourself as you're doing those changes, as you're starting to slow down, because you are productive, you value the quality of your work, you love helping. And also the organization is organized in a way that everything's on your shoulders, but you're only human. So give yourself a load of compassion. Making those changes will feel uncomfortable at the start because we love to help. I would love you, and I always say that to my client, treat this as an experiment. Try things. Tell yourself, I am trying this for a week. If you have a good relationship with your team, tell them, I'm going to try and give Mary this block of tasks. Mary, I'm trying this week. And Karen, I'm giving you this as well. We're just trying this week. Let's see how we go. I am wanting to have more energy so that I can be a better leader. All of this you're doing for your team anyway, aren't you? I know this. That's what you're telling me. You're there for your team. You can't let them down. The goal is to drop the mask, to start feeling as good as you look. And yes, sometimes it means letting people down, and sometimes it means having to slow down. But you know the story of the tortoise and the hare. Slow and steady wins the race. You know what to do. If you've resonated with this episode of high functioning burnout, I invite you to try those ideas I've shared with you. And also you can go on my website, sophieanderson.au/assessment, and take the assessment, have a look at where you're at on the path to burnout, and it'll give you some activities, some intervention points that you can do straight away to start feeling better. Thank you for being here. See you next time.